Welcome again. This is now the part 3 of how can you have a duty of loyalty and whistleblowing as well. Because you're supposed to be loyal. You're supposed to do what you're getting paid for. You're supposed to perform a specific part of what you were qualified or you were hired for. In this case, it's very interesting. Pierce versus Ortho Pharmaceutical Corporation, and it's a New Jersey case again. And because of this case, which makes it very interesting, because after this case, New Jersey State was the first state to enact from Congress the whistleblower statute, 1986. Dr. Pierce was a medical doctor, employed as a director of medical research by the Ortho Pharmaceutical Corporation, a company that produces drugs and healthcare products. In 1975, Dr. Pierce was assigned to a project to develop loperamide, a liquid drug administered for the treatment of diarrhea in infants, children, and elderly persons. The proposed formulation of loperamide contained high level of saccharin in amounts approximately 44 times greater than the level permitted by law in soft drinks. Saccharin has been shown to cause cancer in laboratory animals when taken in excessive quantities. So you already know now that Dr. Pierce, she's a medical doctor, she knows all this. The other thing that you don't know about Dr. Pierce is that she used to work for the Food and Drug Administration. So she already knows what's the procedure in that agency. As a matter of fact, under the Bush administration, company pays the Food and Drug Administration. Why? Because the companies were complaining that every time there's a new drugs on the market or there's a new application, it takes 10 to 17 years to be approved by the Food and Drug Administration. And therefore, it was too slow. And it was not good for the people, because the more drugs we have out there, the more healthy our society is going to be, or healthcare will be better. So one way to provide more inspectors with the Food and Drug Administration, because the taxpayers are not willing to pay more money, more taxes, they ask the corporation to pay the Food and Drug Administration to do research and to investigate or inspect their product. So here is a situation where Dr. Pierce knew about this. So evidence showed that Ortho acted lawfully in conducting all research relating to loperamide and in seeking approval. And the FDA did approve that they can go on with this experiment now from animals to humans. Dr. Pierce voiced disappointment with the Ortho decision to test the drug on human beings because she believed that the high level of saccharin would pose a danger to the subject, which this time it was human, not animals. She told her supervisor that her continued work on the project violated her interpretation of the Hippocratic Oath, which is the same one for medical doctors, and her personal ethical principle. I know something. I cannot work on this project because I know that saccharin may cause cancer. What is the Hippocratic Oath? And this is where I share with you, because the Hippocratic Oath is a promise. It's a promise to save human lives. I'm promising to uphold the Constitution as an attorney. That's what I'm taking the oath on the Bible. She promised to what? Save human lives. So here she knows something, that by taking excessive quantity of saccharin may cause cancer. Well, that's not saving human lives. So Dr. Pierce cited the part of the oath that I will prescribe the regimen for the good of my patients according to my ability and my judgment, and never to do harm to anyone. So this is her thing. I cannot work on the project. So Dr. Pierce then was assigned to another project in which she viewed it as a demotion. She was demoted. And so she resigned because she could not deal with the situation. She had a problem. She then sued Ortho to recover damage at wrongful discharge here. There's no problem. I was discharged not because I was not a good employee, not because I did what I'm supposed to be doing, but because I was not going to do something that I know is harming people. I know something. I cannot do it. It's going against what? My ethics. Well, the trial court granted Ortho motion for summary judgment. So what happened is they go into court, but Ortho gets a motion, which is, please, Daddy, dismiss this case because there's nothing here to discuss. There's no case. And why you think that the lower court dismissed the case? Because employment, termination at will. Hey, Ortho can hire and can dismiss anybody without any explanation. Whether she was wrongfully discharged because of ethical perspective, that's what she says now in court. But Ortho doesn't have to do anything like that. Ethical perspective has nothing to do with her performance. And even if they don't want to, they don't even have to give a reason. Well, the appellate court reversed and remanded the case for a full trial. So next thing you know that appears. So next thing you know, the Ortho then appealed to the Supreme Court of New Jersey. And this was very interesting because now we have a problem. It goes all the way to the Supreme Court. And of course, I want you to know that if they were not happy with the result at the Supreme Court of New Jersey, they could have gone to the Supreme Court of the United States, but they didn't. The Supreme Court reversed the appellate court and reinstated the summary judge in favor of Ortho. What is the Supreme Court of New Jersey saying? Ortho, employment at will. You can terminate anybody you want to just because it's against her promise to save life does not mean a thing. And the court found that Dr. Pierce was an employee at will who could be dismissed by Ortho for failing to perform her assigned and lawfully duty. She was not subordinate. Your boss tells her to do something. It's not up to you to say, if you say I cannot do it, fine. That's ground for terminate you because you're supposed to be doing what you're told to do it. Especially when the application was approved by the Food Administration to go on to do it with animals, with humans. So the court stated an employee does not have a right to continue employment when he or she refuses to conduct research simply because it would contravene his or personal morals. The company can do that. Did Ortho violate the law by dismissing Dr. Pierce from the Low Priority Project? According to the court, she didn't. There was no wrongful discharge. There was nothing illegal because they were not asking her to do something illegal. It was speculative. It was something, and also the court says it was something imminent. They were going to do it sometime, who knows what, with humans, and maybe they were not going to do it because after she was going to do some research how to do it with humans and then finding out something, they would have stopped it. So the court says, they really did not ask her to do anything illegal because it was speculative. They were going to do research on humans, but does not mean that they were going to continue or they were even going to do it. That means they just had permission to do research on humans. Did it act unethical? And again, if you are from the corporation standpoint, no, they did not act unethical. If we're going to let this employee tell us what to do and then another employee tell us what to do because they think that is not safe, or everybody has a different definition of what is safe, forget it. But if you take the side of Dr. Pierce, then you say, wait a minute, she knew something. Why even start that kind of experiment or that kind of research when you already know that causes cancer in animals? Then it probably may cause cancer. Okay, may, not shall, with animals, with people. So, and even if one person gets hurt, we should not do that research. Should Dr. Pierce have be admired for letting our ethical principle guide her decision not to work? Well, again, it depends. And there's been time where I know people that terminated or quit working in certain issue, and the specific case that comes in my mind is abortion. He was a marketing person, and he had a big contract to do advertisement for abortion for New York City, and he could not do it. Do we admire him in our community? Not really. He had 5 kids. And we thought that was awfully selfish of him to do that. After all, just because he's doing advertisement for the city of New York for abortion does not mean he's going to have to do it. Just because he is a religious person and he doesn't believe in abortion, he should not, do anything. So it was very interesting because do we admire? Not really. Some people thought he was awfully selfish. What about his wife and kids? Who knows when he's going to find another job? It took him a good 6 months before he finds another job. And it was not easy 6 months for the wife and the 5 kids. What would you have done in their situation? It really depends on your ethical perspective. I hear all kinds of excuses. Well, that's not what I believe, but it's a job, it pays the bill. Did that appear ethically in suing Ortho? Did it? Was it ethical for her to do that? I mean, after all, Ortho is paying her a check to do research. And it's not ethical for her to choose which research she wants to do and which one she doesn't, especially when we don't even know if they're going to have the research. We're going to have more discussion about this case on our board discussion, but please, while we are sharing these, I mean, I have the opportunity to ask questions, and I have the opportunity to express my view, and I have the opportunity to give you my answer. But I really would like to hear your answer, and I really would like to read your discussion. So I'm looking forward to hear your perspective, especially ethical perspective, on the board. Thank you.